You recording?
I am.
All right. Clap in on my high-tech device and action. Chef Buck here, and today we're going to cook up another real-time dinner menu. I'm going to do canned salmon. I've got a couple of cans here. I've got pink salmon, I've got red salmon. The red salmon is more expensive. Pink salmon is a much better buy. This is what I usually get. What's the difference? They're different fish. That's the difference. I mean, they're different kinds of salmon, and there are more of these than there are of these. So this is cheaper.
Didn't you do a video about that?
Yeah. I'll link it down below. But it's supply and demand. So is one better than the other? One's more plentiful than the other. But they're both good. If you've watched my videos for any amount of time, then you've seen the inside of a salmon can. But if you haven't, then you need to be prepared. It is not a pretty picture.
Oh, it is. It's fine.
It's definitely not. Get over there and get a shot in there and look at that. Now that juice that you see in there is from the fish. You know, they just lop off a piece of salmon and they throw it in the can and they cook the fish in the can. So I'm going to drain off this fishy stuff. And then just throw it in there. Does it smell great? But this is what it looks like. It's just a piece of salmon that has been cooked in the can, so it's ready to eat. I could just take a bite of this if I wanted to. But let's open it up because it is a section of fish that they put in the can. So you can see it's still got the bones in here. And you could take the bones out, you know, if you wanted to, but they're soft and they're edible. And I used to kind of take the bones out. You know, especially these vertebrae. But now I just make sure and crush them up. And I leave them in here. And then you've got the other bones too. But they're thin and everything falls apart. The skin,
you get a little calcium.
Exactly. So this is great nutrition. So I just take everything that's in the can, you know, after I drain it. And I just kind of smash it up. So I'm using it all for my salmon cakes. And I don't put a lot in my salmon cakes. You know, I put the salmon, I put an egg, and I put a little bit of seasoning. But I'm going to go ahead and crack one egg in here. And that's all I put. Now, if I was going to use this for a sandwich, if I was going to make patties for like a burger, then sometimes I'll put 2 eggs in so that it'll be a little firmer. Let me wash my hands up here. You stay focused on that egg over there. Make sure it doesn't get in any kind of trouble. Now, I'm going to use onion and a few different things that I'm going to cook. I plan on making salmon cakes with some black beans and then a little bit of broccoli, just some frozen broccoli. So this is kind of a dinner I make regularly because it's something that I can make without having to think about it. If, you know, I don't have any kind of meal planned, you know, I can just always make this because the ingredients are kind of hanging around. And I don't have to have anything too fresh because like onions, they last forever, right? Let me go ahead and rinse and drain my black beans. I'm just using a plain Jane can of black beans, just Publix brand, almost a generic brand. And you don't even have to rinse these, but sometimes, you know, they get that kind of canny preservative smell about them, taste about them.
If you rinse, you may not get as much gas.
Really? We don't mind a little bit of gas. Your mileage may vary.
Your mileage may vary.
Okay. Now I'm going to use this onion for several different recipes that I'm going to do, but I'm going to put a little bit in my salmon cakes. Not a whole lot. Because I don't want to put too many ingredients in my salmon cakes. Because I want my salmon cakes to hold together firmly. And the more ingredients that I put into my salmon cakes, the harder it's going to be for my salmon cakes to stick together. But I do like to put a little bit of onion in because it adds flavor and it'll add a little bit of moisture too.
And you could use green onions if you had them.
Oh yeah, definitely. Any kind of onion you like. Let's see, that's plenty good enough. And that's just maybe a tablespoon, maybe more. And you know, you can find a recipe, if you want to look at a written recipe for this here. I'll have a link down below. You know, there'll be a link in the video description. Anything I talk about, if I have a relevant, if I have a link that goes with something I'm talking about, it'll be down below.
I can't believe Chef Buck got tamed jalapenos.
Sometimes you give me a hard time. About too much spice.
Not with the pickled.
So I went ahead and got the ones that say tamed on them. I'm
That's
embarrassed to say.
hilarious.
But I'm still going to put plenty of heat in here. So I got a little bit of onion in there, and then I'm going to go ahead and mince up just a little bit of jalapeno. And you don't have to use the onion or the jalapeno if you don't like to. Like a lot of people will add crackers or breadcrumbs to their salmon cakes, to help them stick together and to kind of bulk them out a little bit and maybe mellow out that salmon-y taste. My mom always, added crackers or breadcrumbs to salmon cakes when I was a kid. But I just started doing it. We got on a health kick years and years ago where we were trying to eat less bread, and we're back on it again now. But ever since then, I've just been using the egg as the binder. But so I've got just a few ingredients in there. I'm going to add a little bit of seasoning. I got a little bit of garlic powder. Boom, boom. And this here, I'm going to throw some Creole seasoning in here. And this has got chili powder and some other doohickeys in here. So this is a little bit of heat. So I've got my tamed jalapeno, but I'm going to add quite a little bit of that. And I'm going to add that in some other things too. But I'm just going to go ahead and mix these together by hand and get all of these components mixed together. Make sure that I have my egg broken apart, to help bind my salmon together.
You could have beat it before you put it in too.
You could have, but I usually don't because I usually drain my salmon and put that in there. But you don't have to beat the egg. It'll bind together just by itself. And it's not going to take very long to cook this. Since this is a real-time cooking video, I am going to just fry this in a skillet on the stovetop, which I often do anyway. But if you don't want to fry a salmon cake, you could just make your salmon patties. And I usually make 4. I usually get 4 patties out of a can, but you can make 4 patties and you can put it in the oven and you can just bake them at like 400 degrees and bake them up in about 15 or 20 minutes. But I'm going to cook them on the stovetop. And so that'll only be like maybe 4 minutes on each side. So about half the cooking time. Let me go ahead and wash my hands here. So the thing is, I wanted to get this together.
Right.
So that those flavors will start coming together. But I'm going to go ahead and start my beans now. So I got me a skillet. And I'm going to put it on medium-high heat. Let me throw a little bit of oil in here. Boom, boom, boom. Oops. Is that my first boom, boom, boom?
No, that's the 3rd or the 4th.
Okay. Well, I will try to watch it.
I'll try to call them out.
Well, let's see. Maybe I'll do better. I'm going to put a little bit of oil in here for my salmon cakes. And I'm going to cook my broccoli up in this little pot. And I'm just going to put just a wee little bit of water in here, not too much. And I'm just going to do frozen broccoli. Now I love fresh vegetables and I'm always trying to eat broccoli. But the thing is, when I buy broccoli, fresh broccoli, then I feel that pressure to use it. And then sometimes I don't get around to using it and then it spoils. I've just tried to get in the habit of using frozen broccoli instead. So that's going to be the side. What else do I want? Here, I'm going to go ahead and throw in one of these too. A little bit of carrot. Just some chunky chunkies here.
But we had a turnip. You could have put a turnip in there.
Yeah, but we've got so much stuff with the beans and everything.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's an...
And the carrot will be sweet.
Yeah, and mostly I'm putting it for the color.
Oh.
But I'm going to go ahead and start this cooking. I'll get that on high to start until it starts to boil. Looks like my oil's already going a little bit, so let me chop this stuff up here. And I'm going to cut this up into kind of small pieces to go with my beans, but I want to get these going first before I put my beans in. And you don't have to, use onion with your black beans. You could just take a can of black beans and then season it up with a lot of dry seasoning, and that would be plenty fun. But this is actually going to stretch my beans out too. I'm going to go ahead and use up my onion here. Now I'm going to cut some large chunks of onion here, and I'm just going to steam this with my broccoli. And this will be different. Like I use this onion for all the dishes, but I cut the onion in different sizes for each one. So it's almost going to seem like a different ingredient for each dish. Let me chop up my garlic here, and I feel like I haven't been using as much garlic lately. I think we're due to cook up some Indian food so we can eat a mess of garlic. But I'm going to go ahead and give this garlic here a quick little mince to add into my onions. And you can use no garlic. You can use 2 cloves, 3 cloves, pretty much to taste. Because this isn't a meal that you have to think about a lot. Just throw things together. Just taste. Every time I make this, it's a little bit different because I'm not thinking about it. I'm not following any kind of recipe. This is just basic cooking strategies right here.
But you have to practice.
Yeah. If you cook at home regularly, then you'll learn, that you'll have your go-to meals that you'll just regularly cook all the time. So let me turn this down to medium heat. I'm going to go ahead and get this skillet here going. And this is going to be my salmon right here, but I'll go ahead and get this starting to heat up. What I forgot to do is I meant to throw some red chili flakes in here to add some heat to that dish. Camera girl sort of made fun of me for the tamed jalapeno, so I got to try to find a way to untame this dish. I'm going to season up my beans with a little bit of salt and a little bit of paprika. And this isn't smoked paprika, this is just plain old paprika. But if you get the right paprika, it'll still have a little bit of flavor. And then some garlic powder. I think that's it. Let me come over here and let's see. I'm going to go ahead and throw my beans in here. These are my drained black beans. Alrighty, so I'm going to stir these around.
Smell delicious already.
Yeah. It's just all that seasoning with the onion and garlic. Alrighty, so I'm going to take my salmon now, my big ball o' salmon. So I'm going to go ahead and halve it, and then I'm going to halve each half in half. So I'm going to end up with 4 balls. 4 balls o' joy. So let me go ahead and make 4 patties. You could make them flatter, or you could make them fatter. For me, what really dictates the size of the patties is the size of the skillet. And this isn't that large a skillet, so I'm actually going to make the patties a little bit thicker than I usually do. Alrighty, so I'll just sit it in there, and I like to put it in and just give it a little twisty twirl there. You want your salmon cakes to react when you put it in the skillet. You want your oil to be hot enough that your patties start cooking right away. Alrighty, so I got my 4 patties, and I might have a little bit too much oil in here, but that's okay. It's not the end of the world. My broccoli is boiling up a little bit here, so I'm going to go ahead and reduce that temperature down to medium-high. And I'm going to throw some Italian seasoning in there for flavor. And this is just some dry Italian seasoning. Just give it a rub. Boom, boom, boom. And just clean my hands over my salmon. Why not? And I'm going to put a little bit of salt in here with my veggies. And I put just a wee little bit of water in here before they started cooking. But the broccoli, the onions, and the carrots, they all have a lot of water inside those ingredients already. So they're going to cook down a little bit. Although I'm not going to steam them to death.
Yay!
So I'll go ahead and cover, and that's taking care of itself. So really I've got everything cooking that needs to be cooking. So we're kind of just waiting on the meal to get ready.
Well, you're always great about starting to plate things up too, though.
Yeah. That's something you can be doing. And I got some Tommy toes here. So I'm going to go ahead and have these. Because like I said, my plate is going to look kind of bland with the black beans and the salmon cake. So if I add a little bit of color, that'll be nice. So that's plenty of color right there. And in fact, I pulled this red pepper out just in case I wanted that. But I don't think I do. I think this is going to be good enough. And I can cover up my beans if I wanted to. I could add a little bit more water in here if I wanted to make this saucier. If I had a little bit of broth, I could add some broth in here. But I'm going to smash these beans up just a little bit to make them a little creamier. You know, this is a trick I learned making chana masala to make my beans creamy. But I'm not going to smash them all up like refried beans. I'll just smash up half of them. And that'll add a creaminess to the dish. Boom, boom, boom. Don't say anything about it. Can you think of anything else that you want for dinner tonight?
No, it smells delicious.
We do have a lot of seasoning in here. I do tend to season up my food a lot. You know, you can make, I could have made this dinner really with just salt and pepper. But having a lot of seasoning on hand gives you a lot of flexibility when you're cooking. Now the thing is with these salmon cakes, because I didn't put a lot of binders in here and just one egg, you kind of got to be careful and not flip them too soon. And this is kind of too soon. So I'll go ahead and wait another minute on here. Because you got to be careful that they don't fall apart.
So you want it a little browner?
Ideally. Sometimes you have to get a good sear on one side to help hold it together. But they're doing pretty good already. But you just have to be mindful of that. Especially, with just having one egg in there and not having any other binder in there. You don't want to flip them so early that they fall apart. And I think my broccoli and veggies are going to be done. Because I don't want them overcooked. I want them to have a little bit of crunch. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this off, this back burner. And I'm going to leave it uncovered so some of that water will cook out.
And the broccoli gets a little darker when it's ready. Not much, but just a little.
Yeah, definitely. In fact, it can get kind of mucky looking.
Yeah, it can get too mushy.
Yeah, so I don't want it to be that way. Let me go ahead and give this a turn. See, this one here is a little bit darker. I would rather have this color than this color here. But I really didn't pay attention to which ones I put in here first. Usually I flip the one that I put in first, but I didn't pay enough attention. And I kind of had a lot of oil in here, maybe more than I needed. And salmon patties will soak up the oil as well. So you have to be mindful of that. Let's see. Let me give this here a taste. See if I can do it without burning my tongue. That's bueno. I got plenty of seasoning in there. Some people would say I have too much seasoning in there, but I don't think that's possible. And I think the thing that needed to cook the most here was this frozen broccoli. But it is officially unfrozen, and it is crunchy enough. So I turned this burner off, but it's still hot. But I'm going to go ahead and take it off of the burner.
What about the beans?
The beans are super duper fine. I'm going to go ahead and, in fact, turn the beans off. Because the beans are already cooked, since they were canned beans. And they're already heated through, they're already seasoned. The onion's cooked enough. So really, I'm just waiting for the salmon cakes. Now, with this dish here, you can serve it just like this here, or you could make a sauce. So I'll put a little bit of horseradish in there. And a little bit of mustard.
About twice as much mustard.
You know,
I understand, whatever you want.
yeah. This is really going to be to taste. Mostly I want kind of a mustardy, horseradishy sauce, but you really got to put some yogurt or some mayonnaise in here to creamy it up.
Cracked pepper.
That's a good idea.
Smells delicious.
Oh my God.
Oh, you could also add capers.
Yeah, but no.
Yeah, you could do all kinds of stuff.
Now we're getting too far.
And if you needed to thin it out, you could add lemon juice or a little bit of vinegar.
Yeah, lemon juice would be good here to brighten it up. That's my new favorite term now. But here, that's very mustardy, and it's very horseradishy. So that's super duper. Let's see. So that's super duper dark enough. So let me get another plate out here. So I'm going to be ready to plate up my dinner, but I don't want to take my cakes right out of the skillet and put them on my plate. I want to go ahead and let them drain for just a moment on a paper towel. Alright, you can get down here, camera girl. Look at the color there.
Oh, perfect.
So that's what we're looking for. Just nice and golden brown. And like I said, it comes out of the can cooked. So you didn't really have to do this. We could have just mixed that salmon up, just like tuna fish if we wanted to. But that's not very appealing. Let me go ahead and plate my beans up. I could have added, a little, like I said, a little more water or broth to these beans and made it into a wetter bean dish, but I didn't feel like that tonight, especially if I'm going to have a sauce for my salmon cakes. But I'm going to go ahead and leave a little bit of bean and rice in here if we want some extra or if we want some leftovers, because leftovers are great. You know, that's one bad thing about how we've been eating lately. You know, we've cut down our portions so much that we don't have leftovers as much as we used to.
You're not cutting down on the portions tonight.
Well, you know, this isn't bad. Actually, you know, we could just have one salmon cake each if you want.
Yes.
Is that all you want?
Yes. Look at all this stuff, plus the veggies. You haven't even put the broccoli on there. For me, Chef Bud can have two.
All right, so I'm going to spread this sauce out. And I'm just going to do one.
For me.
All right, if you're just going to do one, then I'm just going to do one.
I thought you were going to put it on the beans.
On what on the beans?
Nothing.
So we got plenty of sauce under our cakes, and we didn't have to have the sauce if you didn't want to. You know, or if you wanted to, you could have just put tartar sauce or something like that on top of there. We are going to eat all of these veggies. How does that sound?
Sure.
Oh, son of a buck.
What happened?
What are you talking about? I got half of the thing on the floor. Let's see.
Oh, making them even.
Well, you know, one of us is going to have too much broccoli and the other is going to have too many carrots. And I don't know who's going to be lucky in that deal. The green helps.
Well, it's refreshing.
But a little bit of red.
And the tomatoes are refreshing little nibbles. Ooh, it looks so good.
Let's try my beans. Black beans are just so good with salmon cakes. Why am I using this knife? You sure don't need a knife for salmon cakes, but I'm going to go ahead and get me a little bit of my sauce on the bottom there. Can you still see it steaming there? Focused on that steam?
Sure.
Okay, you go ahead and give it a go. Boy, it looks really good in this light here. Wow. That salmon cake looks fantastic, if I do say so myself. Mm-hmm. How's that sauce? I just whipped that sauce together.
It's great.
Split.
Mm-hmm. Mustard and horseradish is a nice compliment.
Yeah. But if you just have mustard and yogurt, and a squeeze of lemon. You know, I could have put a little bit of vinegar in here, and I think that would have been a nice addition. But this is just a super duper easy meal to throw together. Kind of nutritious, looks fantastico. Impress your friends, impress your boss. You could get a raise. Have your boss over for beans and salmon patties.
What?
Be right up on that top penthouse floor with all the big wigs, just counting your cash.
Don't quit your day job to be a work coach.
That's it. You know, people think lamb chops are fancy, but salmon in a can. What's fancier than that? It's like food from the future. Sounds like something you eat in space. In space. But that's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sitting through these long videos, and we'll see you in the future. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.